Good morning. This is the Great Basin Prescribed Fire Briefing. We've gone over into our off-season burn season forecasts for Wednesday, October 4th. Looking at precipitation the past 7 days, it has been a wet one across just about all areas. The green shades are ½ inch to an inch of precipitation. A lot of the higher elevations did get a coating of snow along with that. So it's been quite wet, and it's been wet really from the middle of summer, mid-August to mid-September. You can see the yellows here on the left, 1.5 to 3 inches of rain in the yellow to red areas. The green areas about ½ inch to 1.5 inches of rain midsummer. So a lot of that was anywhere from 300 to 600% of normal. It was a bit drier in far eastern areas, but still quite moist. We look at some of the fuels, 100-hour fuels, very moist in a lot of areas, probably too moist to get some really good burning done in some of these green and dark green areas. Those are 100-hour fuels anywhere from 16 to over 20%, but drier in the low teens in that yellow shade further south. 1,000-hour fuels, which obviously respond slower. You see a lot of low to mid-teens in a lot of southern and central areas. Those would be the best places to burn some of the heavier fuels. Still on the moist side, 16 to 20% up in our northern forests. On the weather map, big, deep, low-pressure troughs. This has been giving us the precipitation and coolness the past couple of days. It's now shifting more into Colorado and into the plain states, but we still have this cool northerly flow continuing. The heat and dryness is building along the immediate west coast, and we see that in this afternoon's upper air with a big high pressure, very warm, very dry with light offshore winds across California and Oregon. But once again to the Great Basin, this will typically produce cold nights, heavy dew in the lower valley elevations, still some cool temperatures aloft. We still show our significant fire potential all in the green, so no dangers there anywhere. Looking at surface winds now, these are winds right at the immediate surface. You can see the wind barbs here, kind of northerly. You see the wind speeds in the yellow, more in that 8 to 12 mile an hour range, a little bit stronger, gusting into the low 20s in southern areas. You can see the humidity from the upper teens far south, otherwise in the 30s and 40s as you go further north. So still quite moist humidity-wise. Now we look at two other different things. We look at transport winds here on the left. These are winds averaging anywhere from the surface up to the tops of the mixing heights. And you can see through here that you have some gustier winds coming out of the northwest in the Snake River Plain and down south as well. The transport winds could be over 25 miles an hour. And these are the mixing heights themselves. How high will the smoke go before it starts leveling off? And the yellows to reds indicates anywhere from about 3,000 to 4,000 or 5,000 feet or higher. So good dispersion conditions. On Thursday, high pressure is building in a little bit more. 7-day still green, a little bit of yellow showing up in the far south, but still no consequence. The humidity there will be in the teens. Otherwise, humidity going down about 5 or 10% across the area. 20s to 30% range in the 40s through here. So maybe starting to get some better burning potential. You see the surface winds here, a lot of it coming out of the northeast to north, fairly light speeds. Transport winds here on the left, obviously a factor. Stronger mixing heights overall during the peak daytime heating hours, still several thousand feet above ground level. And then high pressure really builds in across the area on Friday. You can see the winds, barely any wind, and you would expect it under high pressure. So the smoke transport gets a little less. Humidity dries out, still in the teens down south, but getting to the 20s across most central areas, 30s to near 40. So the drying will help us a little bit. The mixing heights on the right still good, several thousand feet above ground level. We're starting to see some greens here. Starting to drop down to below 2,000 feet up in some areas. Transport winds, though, not so good. A lot of the smoke kind of sticking around where the light winds are. No precipitation for the next 3 days. And looking down the road, high pressure builds in. Still no big change in that pattern. Saturday, Sunday, starting to see a change. A pretty strong cold front approaching the Pacific Northwest. Notice some of our areas drying out on a 7-day. The high pressure, though, kind of holds and keeps a lot of that moisture just into our far northern areas. Some of the forests, like the Payette, the Salmon Chalice, may see some clouds and some light showers. And we can see some spotty showers further south also with this front. But then the high pressure kind of arcs back in and keeps that storminess at bay for now. And the models are flip-flopping on this, so we're not quite sure if this scenario will quite pan out. But notice that a lot of the drying has occurred across the southern third of the geographic area through here, with the exception of the higher terrain, heavily forested areas. Precip over the next 7 days, a lot of this will be with that front. Some of this may be a little bit too far south. The models have been kind of backing off on it. I think I would just have more confidence in this area for now. And the 8 to 14 day shows warmer than normal temperatures in most areas, and definitely normal or drier than normal in the south, so good burning conditions. Perhaps a little bit wetter in the north. Again, confidence is kind of low in this scenario, but we'll continue to monitor it for burning potential. This concludes our briefing. Have a great day.